Deep within Huangdiam Valley, where crimson magma pulsed like the burning veins of the earth, Ta Tianhan lay motionless amid the shattered remains of a formation array. His body was covered in silver fissures, his divine sense fading like a lamp flickering in the wind. Once a prodigy who stood at the pinnacle of the eastern domain, he was now only a single step away from death. Before him, Mothanka dropped to her knees, her hands forming seals as the nine-yang true qi within her surged like a sun awakening in the endless night. She knew all too well this forbidden life-defying technique stole fate from the heavens. One misstep and they would perish together. But if she did nothing, he would surely die. When their palms touched blazing solar fire intertwined with lunar radiance, the cavern trembled. Stone walls split apart as the manifestation of the 9 suns rose behind her 9 blazing orbs scorching the darkness. A wave of searing warmth coursed through his meridians, dragging his life force back from the brink of oblivion. At that very moment, 10,000 miles away, the sky above the eastern domain tore open. A pitch-black ancient stele fell from the boundless void, ripping through the air toward the Tianshuan realm, crashing into the earth with a world-shaking roar. No one knew the revival of one man and the descent of that stele were 2 pieces of the same unfolding calamity. After the night, Huangdiam Valley trembled. Ta Tianhan awoke amid ashes and lingering heat. His life force had returned, but within his bloodline flowed a foreign power, one that felt both like Mo Thansa's 9 yang true qi, and yet carried an ancient aura he had never encountered before. His divine body had been reforged, yet whenever he circulated his cultivation, a deep, muffled resonance echoed within his sea of consciousness, like the distant clash of metal from some immeasurable void. News from the eastern domain soon arrived in waves. The ancient stele that had fallen had carved out a massive crater near Falling Star City. That night, the region's spiritual energy fluctuated violently, and numerous demonic beasts appeared in unnatural numbers. More alarming still, the Holy Temple's enforcement squad sent to investigate had completely lost contact. At the same time, within the Bone Tomb Forbidden Zone, long overseen by the Blood Hall, a mysterious 9th-grade sacred relic had been stolen. There were no signs of intrusion. No survivors. 3 events had taken place on the same night Ta Tianhan returned from death. The ancient stela descended. The sacred relic vanished. At first glance, it seemed like coincidence. But to those who viewed the continent's power struggles as a chessboard, it was the signal that a new game had begun, and the first piece placed upon the board might well be Ta Tianhan himself. When news from the eastern domain reached Huangdiam Valley, Ta Tianhan knew he could no longer remain hidden. The spiritual disturbances around Falling Star City were growing more violent by the day. Demonic beasts were appearing in broad daylight, and the Holy Temple had quietly sealed off the major teleportation routes. A storm was forming, and he stood squarely at its eye. Mo Thansia was the first to notice the change within him. Each time Ta Tianhan circulated his cultivation, a faint shadow of the ancient stele flickered over the left side of his chest, as though an invisible tether bound the two together. If that stele was truly connected to the stolen 9th-grade sacred relic, then his resurrection on that same night could not possibly be a coincidence. Meanwhile, the Holy Temple dispatched its Vice Hall Master of Enforcement, Qi Vo Nyai, to Floating Cloud City, where the Zhao clan had fallen under suspicion for involvement in the missing relic. The city also served as the nearest gateway to the Bone Tomb Forbidden Zone. Ta Tianhan made his decision. He would leave the valley and head to Floating Cloud City. On one hand, he would investigate the origins of the ancient stele. On the other, he would probe the movements of the Zhao clan and the Holy Temple. Mo Thansa followed without hesitation. This journey was not merely to uncover the truth, but to determine one thing. Was he the chosen one? Or merely a piece on someone else's board? Floating Cloud City was unlike any ordinary stronghold. On the surface, it appeared prosperous and bustling, but beneath that splendor ran undercurrents of power woven tightly between rival factions. The moment Ta Tianhan and Mo Thanka set foot inside, they sensed the instability waves of concealed spiritual pressure sweeping across the city, as if someone were silently probing every corner. The rumors were soon confirmed. The Zhao clan was indeed hiding a supreme treasure taken from the Bone Tomb Forbidden Zone. Clan head Zhao Wanshen had intended to secretly transfer it to a major merchant guild in exchange for powerful backing. But before the plan could be carried out, 2 rival families joined forces to exert pressure. Then came an unexpected twist. The Zhao clan's eldest grandson Zhao Yifeng publicly sided with those opposing forces, accusing his own family of concealing the sacred relic and violating the Eastern Domain's accords. The Zhao clan fractured from within, and Floating Cloud City instantly transformed into a battlefield of political maneuvering. Working from the shadows, Ta Tianhan traced the source of the information and uncovered a shocking truth. The 9th-grade sacred relic in the Zhao clan's possession bore patterns and an aura identical to that of the ancient stele that had descended upon the Eastern Domain, which meant the stele was no accident, and the relic was no mere treasure. It was a fragment of something far greater, something on the verge of being unlocked. Floating Cloud City tightened like a drawn bowstring. After Zhao Yifeng's public betrayal, the two rival families immediately marched their forces to the gates of the Zhao estate under the banner of upholding order in the eastern domain. News that the ninth-grade sacred relic was tied to the Bone Tomb Forbidden Zone spread like wildfire, plunging the entire city into chaos. Vice Hall Master Qi Vo Nai of the Holy Temple soon arrived as well. He declared no allegiance, merely sealed off the city's entrances and exits, and demanded that the Zhao clan surrender the relic for investigation. Pressured from three sides at once, Zhao Wanshan found himself trapped in a desperate dilemma. Amid the turmoil, Ta Tianhan felt the connection between himself and the relic growing stronger by the hour. Whenever the relic was agitated, his chest burned fiercely, as if something within him was struggling to awaken. Mo Thon Sa, deeply alarmed, realized that his reforged divine body was beginning to destabilize. The crisis reached its peak when Zhao Yifeng led a faction into the Zhao clan's secret vault, forcibly breaking the seal on the relic to prove his family's crime. The instant the seal shattered, the spiritual energy throughout the city convulsed violently. A beam of black radiance shot from the relic straight into the heavens, resonating with the ancient stele beyond the eastern domain. An ancient seal had begun to tremble. The night of the great battle in Floating Cloud City ended in a sea of fire and ruin. Zhao Wanshan was gravely wounded, his meridians nearly severed. Amid the chaos, the two allied families seized the ninth-grade sacred relic from the heart of the city. Yet the most terrifying truth was not who now possessed the treasure, but what had awakened because of it. The moment the relic left its seal, the patterns carved across its surface blazed to life, resonating with the ancient stele beyond the eastern domain. A faint rift in the void tore open above the city, and from it poured a suffocatingly cold aura, an alien presence not of this world. Qi Vo Nai of the Holy Temple moved to suppress it, but he could only stabilize the situation for a fleeting moment. The foreign beings were no longer lurking in secrecy, they manifested openly in the heart of the city. In the midst of the chaos, Multhangska was struck while shielding Ta Tianhan. The 9-yang true qi backlashed violently, draining the color from her face. Seeing this, something within Ta Tianhan finally broke. The mysterious force in his bloodline erupted, raging through his body and nearly tearing his meridians apart. He collapsed to his knees amid the shattered ruins, unable to distinguish which power was his own, and which was manipulating him from within. The relic had been taken. The seal had been broken. The one he wished to protect lay gravely wounded. And for the first time since his resurrection, Ta Tianhan felt that perhaps his death that night had been the way things were meant to be. Amid the ruins of Floating Cloud City, as black miasma poured from the void rift like a rising tide, Ta Tianhan knelt beside Mo Thon Sa, listening to her breathing grow fainter by the second. The power inside him howled, urging him to relinquish control, to let it erupt and annihilate everything in its path. But in that moment he remembered her gaze in Huin Diem Valley. It was not the gaze of someone chasing power, but of someone who chose to save a life no matter the cost. And suddenly he understood. If he continued to treat strength as something to prove himself with, he would forever remain a piece moved by unseen hands. Only when he knew what he wished to protect would that power truly belong to him. Ta Tianhan slowly steadied his breathing. Instead of resisting the mysterious force within his bloodline, he guided it, merging it with the lingering remnants of 9-yang true qi still flowing through his body. The two energies that had once clashed now fused as one, forming a new sigil over his heart, the 9-yang divine emblem. Rather than exploding in wild destruction, the energy spread outward like a rising sun, suppressing the encroaching black miasma. The void rift slowed. The alien beings were forced back step by step. In that blazing light against the endless night, Ta Tianhan finally grasped the lesson. Power is not meant to conquer the world, but to protect what you cannot bear to lose again. The light of the 9-yang divine emblem erupted like a sunrise, tearing through the last shreds of night. Ta Tianhan rose from the ruins, his aura completely stabilized. The black miasma, spilling from the void rift, was driven back by radiant solar brilliance, and the alien entities shrieked as they dissolved beneath the pure blazing force. The two allied families who had seized the sacred relic barely had time to celebrate before they felt it tremble violently in their grasp. The patterns etched upon it resonated with the sigil over Ta Tianhan's chest, as though it had finally found its true master. An invisible force wrenched the relic from their hands, pulling it back into the air. Qi Vo Nai watched the scene unfold in stunned silence. He understood at once this was no longer a struggle between clans. It was a matter tied to the continent's ancient seal. Ta Tianhan raised his hand, yet he did not claim the relic for himself. Instead, channeling the power of the 9-yang divine emblem, he reforged the seal, forcing the void rift shut with a thunderous shock that echoed across the heavens. When the dust finally settled, Floating Cloud City was left in ruins and heavy silence. The Zhao clan preserved its bloodline but lost much of its power. The two ambitious families were gravely weakened. Supporting the unconscious Mo Thon Ka, Ta Tianhan departed the city. He knew the seal was only temporarily stabilized. Some unseen hand in the darkness had set these events into motion, and the new game had only just begun.